Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Holly Mays with Amazing Results. Listen, today I want to talk about leadership. Okay, man, this is a topic that's really passionate to me. It's really dear to my heart, and I don't believe you can grow or build anything if it does not have proper leadership attached to it. Couple things I want you to write down. Okay, so please get a pen and paper with you. I'm going to be doing these every Tuesday. Right before my Bible study, but I'm going to kind of combine my ministry with my personal training sales podcast. But I want to help you guys with leadership. So the title tonight is Leadership is not a title, it's a responsibility. Leadership is not a title, it's a responsibility. A couple scriptures I'm going to give you guys because I want you to be able to go back and I want you to be able to reiterate, be able to teach, be able to pull, gain revelation from what we're talking about. But let me give you the title again. Leadership is not a title, it's a responsibility. Um, the scriptures I want to highlight today are Proverbs 29 and 18. Where it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Luke 16 and 10, faithful in little, rule over much. Matthew 20 and 26, whoever wants to be great must be a servant. And then Habakkuk 2 and 2, write the vision, make it plain. We've all heard that. Okay, again, it's Proverbs 29 and 18, Luke 16 and 10, Matthew 20 and 26, and Habakkuk 2 and 2. The first thing I want to talk about is leadership begins with vision. Leadership begins with vision. There's so many times that I've seen people in leadership and they just can't see anything. And I understand it's one thing to articulate something, but it's another thing when you can't see anything and you cannot lead what you cannot see. All right? You cannot lead what you cannot see. And there's too many people walking around here leading but don't see anything. Okay? Because they have not interacted with God enough to be able to get a clear understanding of what the vision is. See, you can have vision, but not be clear on vision. Does that make sense? The next thing is vision gives direction, purpose, and clarity. There has to be clearness with vision. You cannot do vision and no one's clear. Okay, not even the leader. Does that make sense? You can want to do something. You can talk about doing something, but there has to be a dream casting era. There has to be some type of vision board. There has to be a step-by-step process. Whenever you look at a movie or whenever you look at a cartoon or a commercial, before they actually put that on the screen, they actually have vision boards. They have these boards that go up and it's from scene to scene to scene to scene. Everything, and they have to look at that and have to get clear on what the objective is on that scene. Okay, leaders define the destination before the journey begins. Okay, you don't get on the journey, then all of a sudden you want to leave. No, before you go to battle, you don't get into battle and be like, oh, guys, we're going to do this. No, that's not how leadership works. And to be honest with you, the church and businesses are lacking because of lackluster leadership. We're filling spots, but we're not building leaders. We're not training and developing anybody. What we're doing is saying, oh, okay, you got a good resume. Oh, I like you. I get a good feel for you. Hey, right now we really need somebody. So we'll take a chance on someone and we will not vet their leadership qualities, skills, or capabilities. If you don't, let me say this, if you don't create vision, people create confusion. If you don't create vision, people will create confusion. All right. If you do not rally the troops and all the troops understand what, this troop's supposed to do and what this person is supposed to do, if no one is clear on what they need to do, then people will scatter and they will cause confusion. And watch this, everybody will die. Okay. You will never win a battle or a war with confusion. In confusion, you just won't. Okay. The second thing I want to talk to you about is leadership requires responsibility. Okay. There are too many irresponsible people in leadership. I'm sorry to say it. It is true. That's whether it's in the church, whether it's in the corporate world. There's too many people that are absolutely irresponsible in leadership. They're irresponsible with how they speak. They're irresponsible with how they communicate. And when I say speak, when I'm talking about the difference between speaking and communicating is being able to talk to people. Speaking, by the way, is being able to talk in a large crowd, a large capacity. Okay, so you have to be able to not only speak but you have to be able to communicate. All right. Communication, vision comes through the ability to communicate. And if you can't communicate, then you can't express vision. Okay. Leadership is stewardship, not status. Okay. Leadership is stewardship, not status. Okay. We got to quit being leaders that don't want to go the extra mile, don't want to go the distance, don't want to use compassion, don't want to hear out the whole story, don't want to revert back and remember when they were in that position. They don't want to train, develop. We got to quit putting leaders in positions that want to use analytics and they want to use numbers, reports, and data, but don't want to use love, compassion, and understanding. Does that make sense? We got to quit that. It's not status. It's not how you look in front of other people. It's not how you sound in front of other people. Okay. Let me tell you something. Leadership is not about you. All right. It's hard to be a good leader. You have to be selflessness. You have to be selfless. You have to be selfless. You can't be a leader and you're selfish. You can't. It's hard. You just can't. You are accountable for people, culture, and outcomes. Okay. Excuses kill influence. Excuses kill influence. It does. Okay. You can't keep saying, well, you know what, I didn't know this, or nobody told me this. No, you're the leader. Stand up for your people. And I just got out of a situation where my leader gave a directive and gave an order, but when it came back that was a bad order, you didn't stand up for the order. You didn't stand up for what you said. And leadership, you can't be scary. You can't be fearful of consequences in leadership. Okay, everything rises and falls on leadership. It does. If we're going to be a good business, you have to be a good leader. If we're going to be a good ministry, you have to be a good leader. Okay, what made Christ so valuable is not the fact that he was the Messiah, but because before they knew he was the Messiah, he was a great leader. They could follow him. He was very clear in his directive and instruction. He was very adamant in how he was going to behave and how he would address people. It was his leadership qualities that got them able to follow him when he said, "Stop what you're doing, leave your family and follow me." Because what they were following was not the man, they were following his leadership. Okay? The next thing we're going to be talking about is leadership is influence, not position. Leadership is influence, not position. I heard something so powerful today when I was on the golf course. I was talking to two gentlemen, and they were talking about influence, operation, and influence, operation. Some of y'all may know this. Influence, operation, and I can't think of the other one, but the whole premise is you have the workers here. Okay, you have the workers here, and then you have the managers here, but then you got these outsiders here, and these outsiders that have nothing to do with these workers are trying to influence the workers without going through the managers. And as a leader, you have to follow protocol. If you're going to set protocol, you have to follow your own protocol. You don't get to pick and choose when you want to follow or bend your protocol. Okay, leadership is not about influence. Okay, it's influence. It's not position. Okay, how do I influence them to be better? Well, the best way to influence someone is get in there and do it with them. But if no one has confidence that you see, there's too many leaders, especially in the gym business. There's too many leaders that want to lead, but you don't have a lot of influence, and people really don't want to work with you or work for you. They just got to be with you because you're in positional authority, but you have no influence. I'm not listening to what you say. I'm not doing what you say do because you have no influence. You just have a position. That's all you have. Titles don't make leaders. Impact does. And there's too many people that are not mentors in leadership. You do understand leadership is mentorship. Okay, there's too many leaders that are not mentoring. You're not helping people get better. You're not helping them go to another stage in their life. You're trying to confine them, and that's the horrible thing about some of the leaders that I'm seeing today. Is you're not trying to mentor or impact. What you're trying to do is derail or distract or demean or deteriorate whatever that is that they have growing inside of them, and that's not true leadership. People follow those who add value. And I'm sorry, I've been in the gym business for over 25 years. And let me tell you something. I'm just going to be honest. There are too many people that are in leadership that do not add value. They simply don't add value. You don't make me better. You don't make me better. Okay? You may talk a good game, but you don't impact. You don't make anyone better. And the problem is that you cannot build something and not make the people you're building it with, or if you don't make the people that are causing it to build better, if you don't do that, then sooner or later they're going to go on to the next opportunity. And that's kind of what's been going on. Okay. Influence is earned through consistency. You got to be consistent with being who you are. You can't be that way one day and then the next day, guess what? You something else. You doing something totally different. No, you got to stand on principle every day. You don't get to stand on principle in private. I mean, in public, but in private, you're a butthole. You don't get to be the man in public, but in private, you ain't worth a quarter. You're a liar. You're a cheater. You're talking about people behind their back. You manipulating. You coming up with schemes. You can't do that. Your people can't see you do that, whether it's in private or public. Okay, that's hypocritical. And leaders are not hypocritical. Watch this. If nobody is following you, you're just talking a walk. You're just taking a walk. If nobody is following you, you're just taking a walk. Just because you're in a position don't mean people following you. They may follow what they need to do in order to make their money and get their paycheck. They're not following you. And there are too many leaders that feel like people are following them when in reality, you're just taking a big walk. That's all you're doing. You're just taking a walk. You're just taking a walk. Okay? The next leadership demands discipline. Watch this. What you tolerate, you reproduce. What you tolerate is what you reproduce. So if you tolerate foolishness, then guess what you're going to build and continue to grow? Foolishness. If you tolerate somebody talking to you crazy, guess what you're going to reproduce? People talking to you crazy. If you tolerate people not coming in on time or people, not knowing how to do their job, then guess what you'll reproduce that. And now you're a whole team. You have a whole team that's reproducing what you have allowed. I'm victim of that. I've done that before, and I've had to clean it up because my mentor had to come to me and say, hey, the reason why they're doing X, Y, and Z is because that's what you have tolerated. You've allowed. And because you've allowed it, this is the reproductive mechanism that comes with what you have allowed. Leaders must master themselves before leading others. Okay, before you can go into leadership, you got to be able to control yourself. Too many leaders, man, let me tell y'all this, man. In the fitness business, mainly, I've seen too many leaders, they're too emotional, especially men. They're too emotional. Let me tell you something. It's okay to be compassionate, but you cannot be emotional. Okay? And emotion does not mean you don't cry. Emotion does not mean that not being emotional doesn't mean you don't cry. Not being emotional doesn't mean that you don't hear a story out. Not being emotional doesn't mean uh you don't get a chance to give somebody some good advice. Not being emotional doesn't mean you won't give somebody a second chance, but there are too many people that lead on emotions, especially men. And I tell people this all the time: the worst type of emotional person is a man that's emotional. An emotional man is the worst. It is the worst. And I'm not comparing an emotional man with an emotional woman. I'm not. I'm just saying, when you have that level of testosterone and it becomes emotional, it becomes unhinged. And you don't know what you're going to get. So leaders must master themselves before leading others. Consistency builds credibility. So if you're telling me you're bipolar in your leadership, then guess what? You're not credible to me. So when you say, hey, go do X, Y, and Z, well, because I know you're wishy-washy, because I know you're flaky, then guess what? You're not credible enough for me to go in and do what you said do. So if I keep doing it wrong, it's because I don't trust you as a leader because you're not credible. Okay, I had a leader at my last job, and guess what? He would always say, "Go do this, go do that. You need to do this." But I've never seen you do any of that. And when I did see you do it, you failed. You were horrible. Okay, so your credibility on teaching and developing is probably non-responsive because you're not credible. I've never seen you do it. And if I did see you do it, you were absolutely trash. You were garbage. Consistency builds credibility. If you're telling me to be good, but you're horrible, then how are you going to lead me? You can tell me what to do because you have positional authority, but real leaders are not hinged on their position. Real leaders are hinged on their leadership abilities, character, capabilities, and ethics. So I'm not your boss, I'm your leader. I'm not your manager, I'm your leader. You see the difference in language? And we have to be very careful that if you're going to lead, your language is that of a leader. You can't say, well, I'm your boss. Leaders don't say I'm your boss. They say I'm your leader because they understand the dynamic in which they operate. And a lot of times people are quick to say, hey, this is what I am because somebody done gave you authority, but you don't believe that in yourself. You don't have the qualities of leading. And I'm so sick of us having businesses, especially in the fitness world, where we're putting people in positions and then they just don't possess leadership capabilities. Okay. Private discipline creates public authority. Private discipline creates public authority. You got a person that's an introvert in private, but you're trying to put them in a position where they have to be an extrovert. That doesn't make sense. You got a person who don't like dealing with people and don't like communicate in their private life, but yet you put them in a position where they got to communicate. That's not good leadership. The next thing I want to talk about is leadership requires servanthood, and servitude. But leadership requires servanthood, okay? The greatest leaders serve first. You know what? Let me tell you something, man. I've been in this fitness game for a long time. And one of the things, and I've been in ministry a while as well. And one of the things I've seen is a lack of leadership and servitude together. People will want to lead, but they don't want to serve. And they don't believe that you had to serve before you could actually lead. The disciples had to serve before they could actually become apostles. They could not become apostles without having a track record of servitude. They just couldn't. And there's too many leaders that want to come in and sit down and tell everybody what to do and point and do all this. But the minute I need your help to go do something, you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. Or if you do it in non-real time. You do it from a role play perspective only. And you tailor the role play to where it has to go in your favor. It's not a realistic role play. Okay, the greatest leaders serve first. Christ was one of the greatest leaders of our time. Okay, and guess what? He did not come to do anything other than to serve. That was one of his main prowesses on this earth was to serve. Leadership is not do for me, but how can I help you win? That's leadership. Not do for me, but how can I help you win? Not because you're losing, not because you're doing bad, not because I'm about to fire you, or because you're not preaching a certain way, or you're not preaching a certain doctrine, or you don't sound this way. It's not because of those things. It's because, guess what? I genuinely want to help the system be better. That you're over. I want to help the system. So how can I plug into the system so that you win that much more effectively? That's what leadership is. Leadership is not, oh, you fell in now? Okay, great. Now let me go help you. No, because leaders identify the failing points and systems already and have already implemented a structure and a strategy to come in so that you never dip so low to where you become the main focus anyway. That's just real talk. Okay? Service builds loyalty. People will become loyal to you when you learn how to serve. The reason why people ain't loyal to you, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to deal with you, they don't want to say your name, they don't want to do any of those things, they're not loyal to. They'll jump ship soon as a better opportunity comes. Why? Because service builds loyalty. You grow by lifting others. If you're a leader and you can't say great job, if you're a leader and you can't say, hey man, how's the family? If you're a leader and you can't say, man, hey man, how was the kids' soccer game? If you're telling me you're walking into buildings or ministries or places and you're dealing with people that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, but yet you don't know their name, you don't even know their faces, you're not a good leader. I'm sorry. And listen, if you're that person, but you don't want to acknowledge it, that furthermore lets me know you're not a good leader. Good leaders want to know everybody that they have the capacity to lead over. I'm in charge of a lot of pastors. I'm in charge of a lot of ministers. I'm in charge of a lot of business. But let me tell you something. Everybody that's under my realm, that's under my leadership, let me tell you something. I know each and every one of them. I know their families. I've talked to their families. And we're not hiring people and we're not developing people that have a leadership capability that makes people want to win. The next thing I want to talk about is leadership multiplies leaders. All of this comes together because leaders begot leaders. Don't mean to get super duper biblical, but leaders begot leaders. Okay, leaders don't create followers; they develop more leaders. Christ didn't develop followers; He developed more leaders. But in order to develop leaders, the leaders in training had to follow. That means you don't. That don't mean you don't have an opinion. But watch this. Your opinion become questions, and your questions are designed to be answered. Does that make sense? Okay, leaders don't create followers; they create more leaders. In my business, I'm creating more of me. In my ministry, I want to create another me. Does that make sense? The same way when I have children, I want to create another me. But if I'm not doing the right things, if I don't have the right habits, if my mentality is bad, if my education is bad, if my patience is bad, if I don't have the right character and value structure to be a leader, then that's what I'm going to produce. Remember, we said earlier that how you lead is what you produce. So if you led like that, then don't get mad at what you produced. Your success is measured by who succeeds after you. So if you're with somebody, or you might put them in a position to make yourself look good, but they'll eventually fail. And if they ever have to go anywhere else, they're gonna fail. So leaders, you gotta understand your whole job, the success, that's how leadership is measured, is who did you help succeed? Who did you help build? As a leader, you have to train, you have to delegate, then you have to empower. Too many leaders just want to say, do this, do that, do that. You don't want to train. You don't want to delegate, which means inspect what you expect, and then empower, which means based on what I've taught you and what I've showed you and what I've walked through with and what we've done together, you now have the ability and the know-how to go do this on your own. My job is to observe and be there when you need me. Okay? If you're the only one who can do it, you're not leading, you're bottlenecking. I'm just being honest with you. If you're the only one who can do it, if everybody in your company nobody can do nothing. You're the only one that can do it. You have to be around. You have to be there. They can't do it on their own. Then you're bottlenecking. Okay, you got somebody around the grips, and guess what? They're not followers. They're slaves. They're not even volunteers. They're slaves. And then finally, man, I want you to understand this. Leadership requires courage. Everything that I've said, listen, it requires courage. It requires what my dad says. It requires you to have a pair. And I mean that metaphorically, okay? It requires you to have a pair. Okay? You cannot be scared as a leader. And there's too many scary leaders. You won't tell everybody everything. You pick and choose what you say, and you got to fix it in a way that you hope nobody gets offended or gets messed up about it and all that. You must make hard decisions as a leader. You do. And sometimes that means stepping away, leaving people alone, letting people go, making decisions to where, hey, listen, I got to promote. Even when my bosses say that that's not a good idea, you got to you got to do what's best for the overall game plan and strategy. Remember, if I'm going into war, I might want my best warrior on the front line, but if my warrior is injured, I don't care how good you are. Hey, I got to make a decision. I can't have you up there. I can't have you up there. And other people might think that hurt the team. But as a leader, I got to make that decision. And guess what? When I make that decision, guess what I have to do now? I got to live with that decision. You won't always be liked as a leader. Everybody's trying to be liked. You will not be liked as a leader, man. Leaders stand firm in the truth. It is what it is, man. Listen, man, we ain't got to argue. Just know, as a leader, I'm going to talk my talk and I'm going to talk my truth. It just is what it is. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, don't matter. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And guess what? You got to stand on that. You got to stand on that. So listen, guys, if you're in a leadership position or you're looking to become a leader, listen, stay tuned to my podcast. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel, man, the TikTok, all the social media sites, because one of the things that I do here, man, is I teach people how to become better leaders, man. You'll hear a lot of extra things, man, but man, I'm going to share books with you. I'm going to share different podcasts and people you need to go and examine and listen to, man. And plus, I'm going to also give you principles, man. I'm going to also connect it with the Bible as well, because you have to have a set of principles and character and morals and ethics, man, and core values in which you operate by. So when you go and become a fitness manager, assistant fitness manager, regional or district fitness manager, whatever it is, man, you can now have a set of principles and understandings, systems, strategies, and structures that will help people follow you, man, and become leaders just like you. And that's how a company grows, man. Listen, I love you guys. Thank you, man, for staying tuned with me, man. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to this, man. And I'll see y'all when I see you. I'm out. Peace.